Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Trek Canon. So today we're going to be talking about androids in Star Trek. Now, this is the thing. First, before I even begin, let's get some definitions out the way. All right. So there's some common terms that's used in Star Trek that, and in other science fiction and in science itself, and engineering and all that. Anyway, but these terms are android, robot, and droid. All right, and there's very distinct differences between the three. Now I decided to put this little high-speed little image right here so that you guys can follow along, man, and get a visual representation of what I'm talking about. So as you guys can see, a robot and an android, right? The only difference between the two is that an android emulates being a human while a robot does not. Okay, and a droid, and also a robot can look like anything as long as it performs a task. Yes, there are robots that look like humanoids, but they don't act like humans, therefore they're robots. Now another term that people use is cyborg. The only way cyborg falls into this category is if the mechanics is mixed with a biologic. But the thing is, you can have an android that's made totally out of biological material. So now that we've got that out the way, let's talk about androids in Star Trek canon. Now, androids have appeared in Star Trek all the way back since the original series, okay? And they have played major roles all the way through Star Trek canon. Most notably, Lieutenant Commander Data from The Next Generation. And if you know one thing about Lieutenant Commander Data, one of the things that makes him is his aspirations to be human. So let's get into a little bit about Data. Well, Data, lore, androids like him, all right, they are Soong type androids. Now I've done a video a little bit where I've talked about various androids in Star Trek canon, but what I wanted to do today was talk a little bit about why people feel that the Federation and Starfleet couldn't have utilized android technology a long time ago, all right? And not only that, but had the ability to transfer people's minds and intellects and personalities into android bodies. A lot of people seem to think that the first time this has occurred was with Admiral Jean-Luc Picard in the Picard series, right? Where he died of Ironic syndrome, and his personality was downloaded into another android type body. This is not the case. There has been several times in Star Trek canon where this has been exactly done. So let's talk a little bit about it. In the original series, right, you had this episode called I, Mudd, all right? And the thing about I, Mudd, because a lot of people say, well, those were robots because they didn't act human. That's a lie. Those were androids. If you remember, the one who had infiltrated, not only infiltrated Starfleet, but came on board the Enterprise and act like a member of the crew, just a little bit weird though, and was able to fool everybody until the perfect time for him to take over the ship. Also, if you remember, in that very same episode, one of the androids informed Lieutenant Uhura that they had the ability to put her into an entire android body herself, giving her eternal life. She decided to decline though. Even if you go, I probably venture to even wager that in the episode I, Mudd, they were more robotic. Yeah, I would venture to say they were more robotic, android looking, because they didn't necessarily strive to be human. You know what I mean? Even if you go to episodes like What Are Little Girls Made Of? Now, a lot of people will be like, well, these weren't Federation planets. These were planets that they just found on a... Look, if Lower Decks has told us anything, the Federation revisits these planets, okay, especially if there's technology, information, civilizations that they can speak to, that can help them grow their technology base, their information base. Yeah, Starfleet goes back. So of course they went back to the planet where they had Harry Mudd and all of that stuff, and I Mudd, and researched those particular pieces of equipment. All right, probably even taking some back to the Daystrom Institute. And you know, if Starfleet didn't, Section 31 definitely did. But you may go so far as to say, but Trek canon, none of them were as advanced as Lieutenant Commander Data was. All right, not even Lore. But what a lot of people fail to remember is that Data and Lore, when they were first built, they were just as awkward. It took them years to develop the fine skills that they ended up having, all right, being with the colonists and all that types of stuff. But let's not even use Commander Data. Let's go back to the original series episode, Who Mourns for Adonis? Sorry, Who Mourns for Methuselah? Yeah, I think that was it. Who Mourns for Methuselah? No, that still don't sound right. I'm getting all these red flags. Requiem for Methuselah. Look, people, autocorrect. Yes, autocorrect. And yes, I'm going to leave it in the video. But anyway, the episode was called Requiem for Methuselah, right? And in that episode, we get to meet a young lady who very much passed as human, okay? And as a matter of fact, she's the closest to come to, say, Lau, Data's daughter. They both ended up short-circuiting for basically the same reason, right? So in closing, I just want everybody to understand that a person in Star Trek, them having an android body or having the option to download their personalities into android bodies is not a new thing, and not something just indigenous to the Picard series or when they introduced Lieutenant Commander Data. All right, androids go way back in Star Trek canon. So thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Please leave some comments below if you guys know of any other types of androids that will fit into the category of androids, robots that strive to be human. All right, let me know your thoughts. Please leave your comments below, and as always, peace, recycle, and say the whales. You guys be cool. You know, side note, it's one thing I couldn't end this video without saying, and that is this. If you think about exocomps, right, and you think about the three categories of robot, android, and droid that I put into this video, I'm curious, what do you guys think the exocomps would fall under? Leave your comments below. And again, peace, recycle, and say the whale.